Good evening, everyone. Hello. How's it going? Busy in chat tonight. Have a look who's here. Virus of Nurgle, hello. Gaza. Andrew, hello. Virus of Nurgle, what do we all think of the new pre-orders? You'll have to tell me what they are. I've not seen them yet. I'm just waiting for the Space Marine Battle Forces at the moment. The Combat Patrol boxes. Belinda, hello. Lukey, or Lukey, hello. What do we think will be on Michael's desk today? It's going to be a really random, I think it's going to be quite random tonight. I think I'm just ready for a good old ramble. I've got something I want to work on as well. But I'm just ready to have a chat and just sort of ramble on. Let things out of my head. So, get comfy. Remember tonight, tonight, as you see, like in the thumbnail and the promo, I've not really stated what I'm working on, because I think it doesn't really work for the live streams. Hopefully everyone can hear me all right. Been changing everything around, because I want the live streams just to be about hanging out and you guys interacting with me, rather than worrying about what it is I'm working on. And that's why I've kind of officially marked this as the first one of a new era. New member, Owsy Forbes, thank you very much.
Became a member. Owsy Forbes celebrates 10 months of membership.
I really
Good
appreciate
evening
it.
on
Thank you
this
so
wonderfully
much.
warm Sunday, which stopped me from being able to paint. Playful face emoji.
Thank you. If you weren't here last week, the last live stream, I've sorted a few bits out. There'll be no more lag, because I've managed to sort that out, and obviously I've sorted the alerts out so you can now hear them. So for any super chats or memberships and stuff, if there's any messages attached to them, TTS will read it out. So yeah, as I was saying, with the live streams now, I just want it to be all about just hanging out and interacting with you guys, because every couple of weeks it's just the chance for you guys to sort of talk to me, rather than just watching me do a tutorial all the time, which I think is really important. And it's probably one of my favorite parts of doing this YouTube thing and the tutorials is the live streams. Oh, so it's the Tomb Worlds with the Deathwatch and Necrons. It's a really nice box. And Tippo, hello. Good to see you again. Belinda's asking, everybody, what army do you all do? Let us know what you're collecting and painting. Not happy with my local shop. I had pre-ordered Lord of the Boxes, but they'd sold out. Apparently someone forgot to put my order in the book. Well, that sucks. Hopefully it can get sorted, but if it's a limited miniature, it's going to be tough. That guy B, hello. Al Haggis, welcome to the stream. Good to see you again, NASA. Salutations. I'm just trying to get my head around all the messages. Virus of Nurgle, I'm currently doing Blades of Corn. I think someone's got some Blades of Corn sitting around for me. I think they've got a lot of the Age of Sigmar stuff from first edition box, and then a box of demons. Need to get it off them. NASA's working on the Saturnine set, Votan, Salamanders, Grey Knights and Captain Zentos. Janola VA, voice actor, I'm assuming. First time I've ever caught this stream from the start. Nice to be here. Well, I'm really glad you've joined here. Really glad you've managed to join at the start of the stream. And hello to everyone who's watching later, after the fact in a VOD. I know it's awkward like the time of day. I try and do late in the evening. I feel like it's going to get a lot of most people. Unfortunately, it's not going to get the Far East, the sort of like Australia and Japan. I have thought about maybe doing a late stream, maybe at 10 o'clock in the future. But we'll have to see and get you guys sort of in the morning while you're eating your breakfast. Yeah, it's been lovely it's been quite nice today, to be fair.
How is the best way of practice glazing?
Philip, thank you very much for the super chat. It's really appreciated. What is the best way to practice glazing? I'll tell you what, we'll go over that in a moment. I'll just finish my thought and then we'll do a little bit of glazing for you. Because I've actually got a miniature here that I want to show off that I've been practicing. Pixel Craft. Hello, your work inspired me to get started with the hobby. I'm so thankful for that. I'm really glad. That's why I love doing the channel and these tutorials. It's great being able to help people into the hobby, and that's why I do it. I kind of make the kind of content that I would have loved when I was first starting out, and thinking back of what I wish people would have taught me. And I'm just making sure everybody gets all the information that I currently know. They can do with it what you want. Paul, do I use sanding sticks? If so, what grit do you prefer? For miniatures, I don't use a sanding stick. I haven't forgotten about the glazing technique, but this won't take as long. Okay, so for miniatures, when I'm getting miniatures ready for painting, which I have a video on the channel for, I do go over some of the tools. I have a scraping tool. This is very good if you're like me and you don't want to cut yourself. I have a craft knife. Buy whichever one you want, from cheap to expensive. I like this one because you can change the blades, but it's still retractable. Because usually a lot of the blades, this is like
Also, thanks a lot for your videos. They've been really useful. Started painting the year. I keep trying to think of what to ask.
It's really appreciated. I'm glad you're enjoying the content. Just honestly, I keep up with the chat, so whenever you have a thought or a question, just pop it in the chat and I'm always happy to answer the questions. And remember everyone, you can always leave comments and questions on the videos themselves as well, because I always try and reply when I get a chance on the videos, or even email. The only places that I kind of struggle replying to comments or requests is on other social media platforms, say like TikTok or Instagram, because at the minute I'm not very active on there until I figure out what I'm doing with them, which shouldn't be too long, because I do have a plan. But yeah, I used to really like the Citadel retractable blades, so that's why I found this one on Amazon. There is a link in all my videos, including this live stream, to the on Amazon to this very craft knife, and it uses a 10A blade, which is just sort of like a pointed straight blade, like an X-Acto blade. These blades are pretty cheap as well, and I've had this for about 5 years, and it's heavy as well, and I like the weight because if you drop it, it falls that way, so it doesn't fall blade down, so it's safe. because as I say, I'm very prone to cutting myself and injuring myself. So I find this is very me coded and just a bit safer. But again, yeah, this is linked in all the videos for Amazon links. But anyway, you can use that link. No matter where you are in the world, you should be able to sort of find your way to this blade. And my absolute favorite tool to use, without a doubt, is the needle file, because it's the profile. It's flat. I don't know if you can see that, to be honest, but it's flat on one side here, but then it's convex on the other side, so it's curved. So what I like to do is I like to use the curved side, the rounded side, because when you pull it on a miniature like this, there's very little contact going on, and because it's covered in like the by the texture for sanding, no matter what you're doing, you've got more control over it, and it's not going to remove a lot of plastic, only really where you're working, where you can get into places like difficult places as well. And these are pretty cheap as well to get. So this is my absolute favorite tool to use when cleaning up miniatures, without a doubt. And I've used everything, craft knives, scraping tools, but this is just perfect. But if you do have like a bit of excess sprue or something like that, I do go in with the craft knife first, and I'll cut that away, and then I'll go in with this. The scraping tool really is great for larger miniatures like vehicles or flat surfaces, or if you need a bit more of a robust sort of tool to remove a little bit more plastic, than you can with a needle file. But yeah, I really recommend a needle file. But any other kind of, when I do need to use a sanding stick or I tend to use sanding sponges. You can get like basic sanding sticks off Amazon. Any will do. And you want to try and do probably 800 to 1000 grit when working with miniatures. I haven't linked these. I'll have to link these in the descriptions. But these are quite common, this brand. And you get little sticks. These are sponges, so it conforms to the surface. I hope that answered your question. So there's lots of different ways you can use sanding sticks, sanding sponges, but my absolute favourite pretty much is a needle file. Alhaggis, I'm putting together a Night Goblin spearhead for my big brother's Xmas, trying to get him back into the hobby for the first time since the 90s. Have you seen my Night Goblin tutorial? That's a great way to get your Night Goblins updated. I've got some here because it's the army I'm working on at the minute. I've been playing a lot of Old World at the minute. But I love Night Goblins. Good army. Again, I will get to the glazing in just a minute. NASA, thank you so much. I really appreciate the I think it's a super sticker or a super gift. It's really appreciated. Thank you. All the support's great. Thank you so much, everyone. Where are we? Belinda from South Africa. Hello. I've got I know a lot of people from South Africa, believe it or not. We get a lot have come over and moved to this sort of area. But yeah, I love them. Such like, and they're very, you wouldn't mistake them for being from South Africa. They're very English in behaviour in a way. Simon Hickey, hello. Had originally Alhaggis had originally intended to do the Iron Jaws for him, but in casual conversation he said he preferred the Night Goblins. So he had to... Yeah, so Yeah, I agree. I love night goblins. I'm trying to fit in some Iron Jaws content. We'll talk about future content in a bit. But Iron Jaws is definitely on the list, and so is the Night Haunt. Michael, can you make your videos more than a solo faction? You'll have to expand on that. But I think I know what you mean. I do have some generic videos, so like how to highlight, etc. But it's tough to do videos that cover a large array of things. But you'll have to expand. You might have an idea of doing it. Currently, Alzi, I'm currently building a Dark Angels army and currently working on a venerable dreadnought. I'm looking forward to doing Dark Angels content again. That's something else that's coming up very soon, hopefully. Again, thank you for the super chat. Again, just ask any questions in the chat. Floor Juice, are you ever going to do terrain painting videos? Yes, I do have one terrain video currently from the starter box, 40k starter box for 8th edition or 9th, I think it's 9th edition. That sort of does ruins. If you've seen my 3D printing video, there's a company where you can print off terrain. I do want to do a dedicated video where I print some terrain off from their website and paint it up. And because I've got some amazing terrain, it's just deciding which terrain I want to do. And which is going to be sort of universally more useful. Linda, any tips on blending? Yes, we'll talk about blending and glazing all together because it kind of all comes together under sort of one umbrella. Virus, is there a better way? Is there a better way than the videos of how to contact you? Yes, you can contact me at contact us at TableTopReady.co.uk. The email is in the description of all my videos. It's linked there. You can also go to the website. There's a contact form there. It is an old website now, which is about to be updated in the next month. Currently there is a contact form on the website, or you can directly email me at contact us at TableTopReady.co.uk. Links in the description. And again, you can leave a comment here as well, but emails are great if you've got a lot to say, I suppose, and if you want to send me pictures of what you're working on. Yeah, for Discord, that's for anyone who's a patron or member. You get links to the Discord. The reason that is, it's because it's easy to manage. Philip,
Just curious, is it possible to link a picture of a miniature, get feedback of what you would do to improve them? Also, sorry for my grammar.
You don't have to worry about your grammar. Thank you. Yes, email what I've just said there. You can send me an email and just ask me to critique or leave you some feedback. At the end of September, I will be doing a subscriber showcase. So that'll be in a couple of live streams time. So next live stream, I'm going to remind everybody. And what you can do is you can send even if you want to start now, you can send your pictures in to my email and then I'll show them on the live stream. But if you want to critique or feedback, you have to ask for it. I won't give it unless you ask for it. It's not fair otherwise. But again, I'll go over that at the end of or in the middle of the live stream and at the end of the live stream. Aaron, any tips on how to apply a Grelin Badland texture on the base? It always gets so messy and sticks to miniatures. Yes, I don't know if you've got a texture spreader. I don't have one to hand at the minute, but it's called a texture spreader. Hello. Sophie, hello. Thanks for subscribing if you're in the live stream. This is a texture spreader. I don't know if other companies do it, I'm sure they do. But you get one thick end where you scoop it out. I haven't forgotten about the glazing, please bear with me. Days. So you get one like chunky end where you scoop on, you'll put some on there, and then you got a smaller end here. Doesn't it want to focus? You'll have to forgive that. Let me just get rid of these. You get the idea anyway. This end's more precise. So once you've spread it on like that, you can start moving it about and manipulating it with the smaller end. These are fantastic and they're easy to clean because obviously you don't want to be using a brush when using the texture paint. NASA, I'd love to see a live demonstration of chunky highlights and line highlights. I tend to struggle with those. Okay, we'll do that next live stream then. I'll remember that. We'll do some highlight in the next stream. I feel like we've done some highlight in the past stream, but that's what we'll do next stream. We'll do some highlighting. You can go and watch my highlighting video in the meantime. Because what we can do is we'll watch that video and then we'll do some live demonstrations. Elsie, are there any other paints you like to use, such as villainy inks or that? I've not had any experience with inks. I do use Humbrol acrylics, and I also use Vallejo acrylics. I can't use anything other than acrylics because my skin is quite bad. So anything corrosive, it really dries it out. So I tend to just stick to acrylics, but I'm happy to use any kind of acrylics, to be honest with you. I'm not really... The reason I use Citadel in the videos is because obviously I just like to stick with the Citadel and Warhammer brand together. If you did want to, you can find these things called conversion charts. So if you Google like conversion chart, Citadel paints to other brands of paints, you can always find the equivalent. Philip, personally struggle a bit using the shades correctly in the highlight. Not sure if it's because of synthetic brushes. I'm going to be honest, I've not really explored much in the way of synthetic brushes. But if you want to try sable brushes that aren't, but these are like proper hair brushes, you can get them pretty cheap. A good brand of brush, personally, is the Winsor & Newton not miniature series. They're like an art series. They're like a teal or a blue. I think they're a great price and a good sort of base level of brush. They're sort of the same cost as Citadel brushes, but they're a bit better, if I'm going to be honest with you. For shades, my advice for shades is practice. Just don't use a lot and don't mess around with it too much once you've applied it. If there is a lot, you can always draw it away with your brush. It's tough to do shades on stream because they're hard to manipulate. But once it's down, try not to move it about a lot and just let it do what it wants to do. If you see it pooling up in areas too much, you can just take your brush and just soak it up, any excess, and just keep an eye on it. Stop it from doing that. But usually shades behave themselves quite well, especially the new, since they've updated them recently. Lukey, hey man, I'm glad to be here. I have a question. Would you recommend some sponge? If so, which? Like for vehicles? And it'd be great for you to do like basing tutorials and cork and stuff. I do have a basing tutorial planned by the end of the year, but it's probably not going to be until like November. Sponging I want to cover in both a grimdark video and a vehicle video. They're both planned as well, so they are coming. It's just fitting them all into the schedule at the minute. So please, yeah, it's gonna happen. I've not really experimented with sponges, but I know they've been quite popular quite recently, so I would like to try them out. And I think doing a grimdark video is the perfect sort of place to do that. Yeah, so if you want to link a picture, you won't be able to do it right now, but please send me an email with your picture. So at contact us at tabletopready.co.uk. Again, it's links in the description. Make sure you ask me to critique it or give feedback. I'll do that in the email, and if you want me to show it in the showcase in a couple of next month, just let me know as well. But I'll talk about the showcase next stream. Darth Infamous, like a little spatula. I'm not sure what that means, but dangerously cheesy. Scale 75 worth investing anymore. Got some nice vibrant colours. I've not heard of Scale 75. I'm assuming that's a brand of paints. Al Haggis recently bought a few too thin coats paints. They're decent. Army paint strong tone is more like the old Norn oil than the new Citadel recipe. I've used the too thin paints. I got sent the first wave to do a video on. My honest review, and I said it in the video, is that they're very pigment heavy, which means they're very chalky, and you need to thin them down quite a lot. And that's how he's got such a strong colour in them. But just letting you know now, they're very pigment heavy. The shades as well, I'm not sure if it's still an issue, but they separated. They separated quite a lot for the too thin coats range. They had to keep shaking them up. So that's just something else to be look out for. But my go-to, except for the Citadel paints, my go-to brand is Vallejo. They're fantastic. They're a good price as well, especially if you're a beginner. CZB. If I want to start 40k, should I get the ultimate starter set or the normal starter set? So if you're planning on playing games, so the only difference between sort of like the middle starter set and the biggest starter set is the terrain. So if you're planning on playing games, then I think that's a good place to start, is with the terrain, so you've got everything in the box. If you're not fussed about the terrain, then I'd just go for the middle box. I think the middle box with all the miniatures is probably the best, most cost-effective product Games Workshop do. In fact, I've bought a couple of those boxes just to build up my Space Marines and Tyranids, and just have some miniatures ready when I need them. So yeah, so it just depends. The only difference is the terrain. I think everything else is literally the same. Darth Infamous, the texture spreader is like a little spatula. Right, I got you. Like, out of context. Just going so fast. Yeah, the texture spreader is a little spatula, and it's flexible as well. So it's all plasticky. But yeah, like a spatula. Thanks for clearing that up. Belinda, any tips for doing good lenses for marines? So there's 2 ways you can do it. I think pretty much every Space Marine tutorial I've done, there's a lens tutorial. So you can do it the fancy way. I haven't forgotten about the glazing either. We'll do that very shortly in a couple of minutes. I don't know if you can see this, but you can do a solid colour, a line highlight along the bottom, and then a dot of white scar in the top corner. That's if you've got a steady hand and you don't mind highlighting. Or there's the other way, which is a bit quicker. So in the center of the lens, you'll put white scar or a light color, and then you'll use a contrast paint. So here I've used Striking Scorpion Green, and it creates like a glow effect. So that's much simpler to do. But if you want to be fancy, you can go for the solid color, line along the bottom, and a dot of white scar on the top. But literally every Space Marine tutorial I'll do either one of these. Which brings me to my next point, is next weekend is my Blood Ravens tutorial. I'll talk about this while I get ready to do some glazing for you. Next weekend is my Blood Ravens tutorial. I wasn't actually going to do... It was always going to be Fire Warriors tutorial, which is still happening, for those of you worried. But I thought, because of the announcement of Dawn of War... Hello, Jacob, welcome. Thank you for subscribing. Welcome to the stream and channel. And in that, I'll be showing both ways to do lenses anyway. The fancy way and like the contrast way. So if you didn't want to go back and watch, but I do recommend going back and watching some of my Space Marine tutorials, because it covers different colours as well. But my next tutorial will have both the lenses in there if you want to watch that. Yeah, there are a couple of different ways to do the lenses. You're in luck because I've sprayed a bit of a Space Marine ready for the next tutorial, because I need to test the highlights and glazing on this. So we'll do some glazing now. We might even look at some highlights. Dangerously Cheesy, yeah, Scale 75 or Scale Color is an older brand. I know P3 is a brand as well. They're a brand I've been interested in. Lukey or Lukey, do you recommend some varnish brands, and do you apply them like from spray or on a brush? If I was using, when I use varnish for miniatures, it tends to be related to transfers. And I'll just use Storm Shield out of the pot for that. Generally, I wouldn't tend to use varnish. And I'm about to show you a good example. So this week I've been like doing a lot of background homework stuff, behind the scenes stuff. And I've been sorting out all my miniatures. I've now got all my miniatures in a case. The reason I've done that is so they're there to reference, because every time people ask me questions in the live stream, they've always been in the box where I've always wanted to go grab one. I had one of the old cases, so I've now got them all packed away. Got some classic as well. But now they're just there ready to reference. If anyone wants to see a miniature from a tutorial, happy to show you. But I got this guy out, Dante, and I just saw it. It's probably like the miniature I'm probably most proud of. So this is from the Dante tutorial where I teach you how to do non-metallic metals. And believe it or not, this is for that video I taught myself to do non-metallic metal, and this was the result. And in the tutorial I go through the theory behind it, how to work out the lighting, and you know what, it's not actually as difficult as you might think, just as long as you take your time. And this is glazing and blending, which we'll do a bit of on this in a minute, but I wanted to show this as well because I was proud of it. So it would mean a lot if you guys went to go check it out, because the video didn't actually do that well. It always upset me just because of the effort that went into this miniature. Tabith, hello, thank you for subscribing. But yeah, so this is Dante. A really good tutorial to learning to glaze and blend. Out when you're ready to go and have a look at that. Well, but for my videos, the most basic form of glazing that I do is on a Space Marine, to make the flatter areas of armor more interesting, is how I say it in the video. Because on a Space Marine you've got all these flat areas. I haven't put a base colour on this. The base colour for this will be corn red for Blood Ravens, but for now we won't worry about that. In the video you'll see me using a glazing brush. Or you'll see me using a standard layer, medium or small brush. The reason I'll use a glaze brush is because what I like to do in my videos is to encourage you guys to use different brushes to paint your miniatures. This is so you're not using the same brush to do everything, because that brush after a week won't know what it's good for, and it won't be good for anything. So that's why I always have a good mixture of brushes, rather than just having one or two brushes to do everything, because that's gonna ruin your brush quicker. But you can do glazing generally with a normal brush, but I do encourage you use a different brush when doing different techniques. But a lot of the time, especially for what I'm about to do, we'll use a glaze brush, because it's a smaller brush, it holds the paint a bit better, and this is a synthetic brush. Another good thing for glazing is having a wet palette. This wet palette is pretty cheap, it thinks about £6. I'll link this in. This is the palette I use in all my videos, and it's linked in the description. It's like a generic wet palette. It's tough to do glazing without a wet palette, because on a dry palette the water evaporates too quickly, and it can just get really frustrating. We'll do the glazing in the method I do in the videos. I will catch up with everybody's comments, but I want to get to the glazing because it was a very appreciated super chat and donation. Again, the brush isn't important. So regardless of how much paint you put down, I'll tend to say you thin it down with twice the amount of water. So if you've got 1 part paint, you're gonna have 2 parts water. It can be thinner than this, that's not a problem, but it's just easy to reference twice the amount of water. And you don't want to load your brush a lot. You can sort of see how thin that's sort of gone. That's about right. And you got to remember, this isn't a shade, so it's not like your non-oil or Reikland flesh shade. It's just a thin paint, and we thin it down to make it translucent, so you can see the colours underneath, which helps with the blending. I have to move this out of the way because it's going to affect the... Hopefully you can see that. The one thing I always say when you're painting, you want to be intentional with it all. You want to sort of focus and have your mind on it, especially if you're learning or starting out. So we're going to add some interest to this sort of leg plate here, and we're just going to sort of start from the middle, and we want even thin lines, and we want to draw the pigment down to the lower area of that leg. It's going to be a bit bright. I'll turn it down after just so you can see better. Okay. It is going to be quite wet, and that's fine. You will see it a bit different to sort of more experienced painters. They'll use a lot thinner glazing, but because we're starting out, we're quite new, I just find it easier to teach it this way. And what you'll find is when you're working the brush downwards like this, you'll see the pigment sort of pull up and move with the brush. And generally where the brush leaves the surface of the miniature, that's where that pigment will be left. So because we're drawing the pigment down like this when we're glazing, it's going to be darker theoretically around the lower edge of that panel, whereas it should be lighter theoretically at the top because we've drawn that pigment away. Remember, paint, you need to forget about the liquid of the paint. You need to think about when you're painting is how you're putting pigment down on your miniature, because that liquid, no matter what you're doing with it, is going to evaporate. So when you thin it down this much, there's less pigment, so it's going to have a thinner spread. You can go in with a second layer, but you need to make sure that first layer of glaze is dry first, just because when you start messing around with painting that's still drying, that's where you start getting your paint lines and texture. And because it's so thin, you'll tend to find a glaze will dry quickly anyway. So going again, this time we won't start where we started before, we'll just start a little lower just to build up that colour at the bottom. Again, we'll just let that dry, and then we can see how that is from there. And then we'll work on making it, then we'll work on the blend. So sometimes you might find it's looking a bit messy like this, especially because we're still using quite a thick glaze rather than a super thin glaze. Because an heavy metal painter or someone from heavy metal will sit there and spend 5 minutes glazing that with really thin layers to build up a really nice colour. But we're going to do it in half the time. This is Mephiston Red. This is what the base colour is for this miniature. So we're going to create glaze for this colour. Again, thin it down with at least twice the amount of water. Again, it can be thinner if you want it, especially at this stage where we're blending. You might want it a little bit thinner. And then we can go in the opposite direction. Again, you don't want to go over what you've just done. You just sort of want to meet it halfway, but you do want an overlap. Again, you don't want loads on your brush, so just make sure it's not overloaded, because you do want a thin layer. Again, you don't need to keep going over where you've painted. Just methodically sort of work your way across without going back and let it dry. That's all. It's as easy as that. You don't need to keep working at it. This is what I mean by intentional. It's just being methodical, intentional, taking your time, let it dry, see what it looks like. If you feel you need to do it again, just go back in. So it's knocked it back a bit, but it could do, so we'll just go in again. Again, a little less this time. There's no worry about going further up this way, because obviously the base colour is Mephiston Red anyway. Again, you can go back and get your corn red glaze, go back this way. So it's kind of like a little sort of dance, really. But what you'll find is you'll tend to put your first glaze down, of say your dark glaze. You'll then blend it in with your colour underneath, or the base colour. And then you'll probably go in a third time just to sort of finalise that glaze with the original glaze colour. So again, there's no right or wrong. You can just keep practicing. It's a very forgiving technique as well, especially when there's nothing else going on in the miniature and you just started like this. The Galvorback Red is quite dark compared to the Mephiston Red. You'd probably want to do like a corn red glaze, really. Again, we can go back in if you feel like it needs some work. Something you can do, you could sort of wash your brush off here, have nothing on, and actually just do a little bit of liquid, go over it, and that, because the paint's still not going to be 100% dry, so it might just help blend things a bit better. That's literally how I blend and how I glaze. It's a bit of a rough and ready glazing technique that I do compared to some of the masters of it. Like you'll watch, say, Infernal Brush do it, or say one of the heavy metal painters. They'll have a different way of glazing, but this is an easy way to teach it, and it's a good way to show beginners that it's very achievable. So hopefully that makes sense. But that's literally what I've done here. It's just glazing different colours. So now that you've seen me do that online, you can go back and watch any video where I do glazing or this tutorial, and you can remember back to what I've shown you on this thing, and you'll go, yeah, actually, yeah, it's pretty straightforward. But hopefully that helped. And that's why I do the live streams, just so it helps you guys. Let's catch up with some of the comments. Go back. Okay. Belinda, mainly for Dark Angels. Okay. I do have a Dark Angels tutorial, and I think I'll go over some glazing in that video as well. You'll especially see it in my Deathwing Terminator tutorial, because you'll see that here I've literally just done the same here, where on the lower legs and on the shield, like on the base here. Down here, that's literally what I've just shown you on the Space Marine, but it's on the Terminator, and you see it's the same thing I've just done. So it is actually, it's not scary, it's just a bit of practice, because you need to teach your brain and hands to work together to achieve it. That's okay, don't worry about being late. Ryan Scale Model World, hello. Don't worry about being late. Wafers, hi. A bit of a shame that it's 2 AM here and I have to sleep soon, but you do have some time to accommodate my selfish request to judge how badly I expanded from the start set to 1K. I'd love it. Okay, if you're still here, or if you're watching on the VOD, anyone can send me an email with pictures, questions. Just feel free, and I'll do my best to respond. That's not an issue at all. Ryan, I have some glaze medium from Vallejo. Does that stuff work for glazing? Yes, it does. I personally, I just stick to water for glazing. Just because every time I see, say, like Darren Latham glazing, he just uses water. So if water's good enough for Darren Latham, it's good enough for me. But you can use glaze mediums, like Lamy medium, for example, or for the Vallejo glazing medium. What a medium will do, or a flow improver, which is another option, it will slow down the drying time, as opposed to water. Yeah, Wafers, hello. Yeah, just send me any questions if you've got any pictures, just so I've got a good idea of what you have, and we can help you out. Personally, I'm not very good at the gaming side of things. I always just say buy what you like the look of or you want to paint. That's how I approach it, and then I'd never win any games. Belinda, I'm glad you think my tips are really helpful. All I can show is how I do things. They're not necessarily the right way. They're definitely not the only way. It's just the way I find works for me. Gundam, hello. Good time of day to everyone. Yeah, so the Galvor Back Red is a very like a dark deep red, like a cognac, I suppose. Vivian, hey, do you usually paint the layers and all the models at once, or do you do it one part after another? Sorry, that's absolutely fine. I think I understand. I know what you mean. So you can do it in a couple of different ways. I'm assuming you're talking if you're painting multiple miniatures. You know what? I've always got a good example hanging around somewhere. I have been doing contrast on these guys, but the same principle is the same thing. So with these guys, on the last stream, I did all the bone colours, like the teeth, the fletching, and the cord around the hips. I then went and did the red, but I did all one colour across the unit first before going to the next. I just find it helps, just because you've got the paint already there. But you can, if you want to paint one miniature at a time, that's also absolutely fine. Either or. There's never a right or wrong way to do something. I basically bought the starter set for 20% discount, sold the Tyranids, used that to buy Niskerman. I'm not sure what that is, sorry. I'm not very good at abbreviations. Then brought some assault intercessors. Then a new box. Have a look at the combat patrol boxes. That's what I tend to do. And if you've got a lot of infantry, it might be good to start looking at, say, maybe like bikes or the AVT or like a vehicle. Or you've got like the land speeder type thing, something a bit heavier. Or a dreadnought. A dreadnought would be wicked. Love dreadnoughts. And then it breaks up painting all that infantry as well. Is what I would say. Yeah, so Wafer says, this will definitely not win me any games, but I just want to paint better and roll dice. Are you also going to do a Gulliman video? Good question. Because we'll spend some time talking about what I've been doing and sort of a few plans for the future. I spoke a bit about in the last stream, but it was a bit of a quiet stream last time because I did it on a Saturday, which I think everyone's kind of busy on a Saturday. Sunday evenings are definitely sort of like the time of the evening that's best to do it. So I'm not always available on Sunday evening. But I think when I live stream now, it will definitely be on a Sunday evening, just because I enjoy getting you guys here. Hopefully as well, in the promo, if you've seen, I thought to put the different times for sort of a spread of the different sort of time zones, because a lot of people tell me, hey, I got the time wrong, or I missed your stream, I forgot you were streaming. So hopefully that'll help sort of give you an idea of when this stream will be where you are, which I saw someone else sort of promote their stream with that as well, and I thought it was such like a perfect idea that I incorporated it as well. So hopefully that helped as well. But again, hello to everybody. If you're new to the streams, it's great to have you here. These are a chance to hang out, you guys to talk to me, ask me questions. As you can see, I'm happy to demonstrate stuff if I can. I ramble on and talk about what I'm up to, the channel, my own personal hobby, and just everything really. I just like just chatting. I don't really have many Warhammer friends in real life, so this is a good chance to sort of exercise that side of the hobby rather than just painting. I do like to talk about it as well. I really appreciate all the support so far, like the super chats, memberships. It really does help. You can become a channel member, or you can join my Patreon. Everything's linked in the description, and all the hobby equipment that I like to use as well in the video, all the links are in the description as well in every single video. I've literally spent one whole day going back and updating all my videos descriptions, so you'll see it all updated now, which should help you guys hopefully. So I just want to talk about my last tutorial. If you haven't seen it, it's the custodian. So I just want to do a quick recap. And then I'll talk about the Gulliman video and what I've got planned coming up. So here's the custodian from my last tutorial in all its glory. I was really pleased with this one. Make it a bit brighter again. I have previously done, I think probably about 3 years ago now, custodians. I did 3 of the different color schemes. These are the Shadow Keepers. These are the Solar Watch, and these are your Golden Boys, the standard Adeptus Custodes. But I've obviously learned a lot in the past 3 years, and I've definitely changed the way I paint. So I wanted to update the custodian video, just because it was something I was interested in doing at the time. Hello, thank you for subscribing. Welcome to the stream if you're here. I really wanted to paint one of these big swords as well. So this tutorial is currently available if you want to go watch it. This is a comparison. This looks better and is actually more achievable and quicker to paint than this guy, just through what I've learned in my time painting. You see the red leather, like the gloves are a better colour, more vibrant. The plumes are a bit of different colour. I think I went to on here, I think I did Towlight Ochre, whereas this is Fire Dragon Bright. But this is more subtle, I think more in tune with the box. This is a Retributor armor, so this is more of an orange gold, where this is a gold that's more sort of matches the box art. So this is a mix of Liberated Gold and Retributor armor. This is washed with Reikland Flesh Shade. This is washed with Reikland Flesh Shade mixed with Seraphim Sapphire, which gives a bit of more of a subtle colour. This is line highlighted with Stormhost Silver. This is a dry brush. There's not really much difference. It's just because there's so much detail, you can get away with a dry brush. The blades are different. This is more bright and vibrant, which I love. This is a bit darker. Obviously, I've learned a lot since then. Everything I painted on this guy, you can obviously apply to your wardens. Cloak. So, I've just stuck on with that's the stun blue tack. You get a cloak in the box. Belinda, thank you so much for being here tonight. Hopefully we'll see you in a future stream. Again, email me any pictures, any questions. Good luck. Thank you again for being here. I was really happy with the cloak. I wasn't over the moon with the highlighting. I wish I could go back and change it a bit, but it was a bit too late. I was really happy with like the raised detail. If you watch the video, the one thing you might miss is the choice of where I paint the light areas and dark areas. So if you ever come to paint some raised details like banners on, say, Imperial Guard or an Old World miniature or even Age of Sigmar, and you want to do non-metallic metal or this sort of colour, I've used the folds of the material. So anywhere it's a raised fold, so if it was along here, if it was sitting on this raised area, where this highlight is, it'll be that gold and yellow. anywhere it sits in a shallow area like this, I'd do this darker colour. Or you could just get away with just making it up, in all honesty, and it would still look right, as long as you get that gradient. You don't really need to worry about the inside. But yeah, I was really happy with that tutorial. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. You do learn a lot. From painting metals, you've got the glazing and power weapons and the energy effect. Get a nice cool sort of cloak. Yeah. Really happy with that one. Yeah, so we'll probably be like another hour and 20 minutes or so. So if you're having to go, then obviously come back. Make sure you come back and watch the rest of the stream. Still got a lot to talk about. Let's go back. Vivian, that's absolutely no problem. So he asked about the painting the different coloured layers across either like one miniature or several miniatures. Yeah, it's up to you. If you want to paint one by one, or if you want to do one colour across a lot of miniatures, then do one and the next colour after you've done that one. That's personally what I do. I'll tend to work with 5 miniatures at a time, just so I'm not driven crazy or trying to paint 40 goblins. It's to Cat. Hey, quick question. What paper do you use for your wet palette? So with this wet palette, linked in the description, it's about £6, British money. It comes with a massive, oh, it's very bright. It comes with a huge wad of paper for it anyway. If you really didn't have it, if you really didn't have any, you can just use baking paper. It also comes with a sponge. If you watch my highlighting video, or if you watch my thinning your paints video, you'll see how you can make your own wet palette. But this one's cheap, and I've never ran out of that. By the time I've run out of the paper, I'm ready to replace this anyway. After this will literally last a couple of, like a year or two, and how much you paint. Gulliman. Okay, so G-Man. Again, I'm not very good at abbreviations. Yes, I'll catch up with chat and then we'll talk about the next couple of tutorials that I'm about to do. Gundam, I can't deny that my combat patrol I feel a little intimidating to paint. No, I get ya. But you have to remember, what's the saying? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You don't need to like build it all at once, paint it all together. You can if you want to, but just work on like, say 5 miniatures at a time, or like a unit at a time. If you've got a vehicle, if you go watch my Ballista Dreadnought tutorial, you can see how I've built sub-assemblies out of the Dreadnought. And painting a vehicle or Dreadnought, especially if it's a vehicle for a Space Marine, it's just like painting a Space Marine, it's just bigger. You can even write a plan in a little book or on a piece of paper, what units you're going to do first, what paints you're going to use. It's just getting started. Just open the box, have a look at the sprues, and just break up what you're going to paint. But I definitely don't recommend painting it all at once, because that's insanity and you'll never finish. Looking for my drink, sorry. But I understand that. It's always intimidating starting with a new project. I always say paint what you're most passionate about, what you're really in the mood to paint. Or you could be one of these people who say, oh, I need to paint some infantry first, like the boring stuff, before I get to do the more exciting stuff. I tend to do that sometimes, just to motivate me to paint the not so exciting stuff. Sometimes I'm just in the mood to paint the fun stuff. I'll go straight to that. Luckily, I've got a painting channel where I can just be like, I want to do a painting tutorial on Dante, non-metallic metal Dante. It's just really what you're passionate about or really in the mood to do, because that's, you're going to do your best work when you're motivated. Another miniature apart from Dante that I sort of look back on very fondly that I haven't seen since I got out of the box is my Tau Commander. This miniature was my first attempt at glazing, believe it or not, for the dirt and grime. I hadn't really done any kind of glazing before this. I did it for a video. Along with the chipping, it just really adds to the miniature. This was a lot of fun to paint. After the Blood Ravens tutorial, I am going to do some Fire Warriors in this colour scheme. But I want to do a Ghost Keel as well, as an updated tutorial for Tau Battlesuit. I want to do a Ghost Keel. But again, this is a tutorial that is currently available. It's an older tutorial, probably about 3 years ago now, but it still stands up. There are different things I would do in that tutorial. That's why I kind of want to do an updated version, but the idea is still there. This just makes me want to do a Tau army. You wouldn't need that many miniatures for it, really. I didn't know what to give this guy, so I just assumed just give him a shield and a I think that's either a fusion or plasma weapon. I think that's what everyone was giving them at the time. I painted the drone in the tutorial as well. Camera does not want to focus today. I think it's this board. Usually I use the smaller squares, so mental note for future streams, use this other side of this board where the squares are smaller. Messing with the focus. Again, this tutorial is available just to get you hyped for the future Fire Warrior tutorial that's coming in 3 weeks time, because the next video I'm doing is Blood Ravens. If you haven't seen, I did a poll. I wanted to ask people whether they wanted Blood Ravens tutorial or the Fire Warriors tutorial, because if I felt there wasn't much interest in the Blood Ravens tutorial, I would have went straight to the Fire Warrior tutorial. But the Blood Ravens were people were quite positive about it, just because of the announcement of Dawn of War 4, which I was surprised about. I thought they'd given up after the third one. Wasn't really well received. Hopefully this is back to form. I like that it's Primaris stuff in this one, because it's just different. But I'm a huge Dawn of War fan. I've played it since the release. I played all the expansions of 1 and 2. I'm probably going to treat myself to the remastered Dawn of War. But I think it'll be fun to do the Blood Ravens, because I haven't done a non-main Legion chapter yet. So I just want to see how it's received, because if people watch it and people like it, then it means it opens up to do more different chapters, like the Lamenters or Crimson Fists, the Mantis Warriors. more interesting chapters, I suppose. I do cover how to do the transfers in the video, or will, because I haven't started it yet. So I'll tell you how I approach that. Yeah, so there's what I'm working on. I do have Guilliman ready to paint, but this isn't going to be a main tutorial for the channel. I'm going to start a character series for supporters, or channel members and patrons, and it's going to be for the bigger, more centerpiece miniatures like Primarchs, for example, because it'll be tough to do Guilliman for a tutorial on the main channel, because I don't get many views on individual videos, so it wouldn't cover the cost or effort that would go into doing the video. That makes sense. So to motivate me to do these bigger miniatures, I'm making them paid content. So when it does get released, if you join the channel membership or Patreon at £4 or more, you'll be able to get access to any current or future character series tutorials. So Guilliman's on the list. I'm going to be doing the Lion. I want to do Ghazghkull. Just a lot of the main characters. I want to do the Necron Silent King. When I do my Khemri army in January, I think I'm going to film everything I paint for my army. So I'm planning on doing the Bone Dragon and the Necrosphinx, I think it's called. The one with the wings, the rare choice. Both of those are going to be paid content. I'm doing those because I'm going to paint them anyway. So if I make videos of them, at least they'll be available if people want them. I will be doing some infantry videos for the Tomb King's army though, as well. I want to show people how to paint the army box. But the Bone Dragon will be paid content. So that's coming in the future. I was hoping to have the Guilliman done by now, but I've got a list of I've got sort of like a plan of a lot of things that I want to achieve first. One of the things is updating the website, because the website's going to allow me to do a lot of stuff, and it will become a hub for a lot of the things I do, especially for this paid content, where I can put that on the website as well. So if you didn't want to join a Patreon or become a channel member, I will make these tutorials available individually for a bit less than as a supporter, so maybe like £3. But you will only get access to that one individual tutorial. For example, I'm not 100% sure yet. I've still got a lot of planning to do, but that's what I'm going to be doing next month, is the website. I also want to do articles on the website. You'll also see, I want to put showcases on there as well for people's miniatures, and do thank supporters. So there'll be a dedicated page where I'll list. So it's not just in the video, I'll list it on the website as well, that you're a supporter. As I say, I want to make more of a thing about my website, which is what I'll be doing next month. And then after that, that's when we start the paid content. But that's what I'm waiting for. For those who ask about if I'm doing Guilliman or not, the answer is yes. But it'll probably be October, end of October. You'll probably start seeing paid content. I had thought the other day that I might do Ghazghkull for October. I just don't think I'm going to get him done in time. But we'll see how I feel after Guilliman. I definitely want to do 1 or 2 Orc videos for October though. But we'll see. I've got a lot planned. I do have a question. If your base color is the same as the primer you use, would you still add a base color? Yes. Regardless of what your undercoat color is or your primer color is, you still need to paint your base colors because the colors in the pots aren't the same color as your undercoats. So if you need to tidy up, if you've missed any areas with your spray, it's going to be very noticeable. The texture of the undercoats is quite rough as well. It's not as smooth. It doesn't look as nice as a base color. So if you want your miniatures to look as good as they can, I would always paint your base colors regardless of what color your undercoat is. Having it the same color just makes it easier. It just gives us a better color. Untipo, thank you very much. I'm glad you enjoyed like the Custodian. Go check out the tutorials for those. Stephen, haven't had a chance to say hello yet. It's good to see you back in the stream. Yeah, I was really happy with the cloak. I'm glad I decided to do that for the video. I only did it because you got one in the box, and I think with everything I've shown in the box, you can pretty much do Custodian Army now with the cloak and the material. Wafers sent the email. Will you do a dedicated video of doing the melee weapons such as swords and axes and such? It depends what you want to do with them. I try not to do individual videos like that. Because I cover a lot of that. I'd rather give it context. So, like Dante's axe, for example. That's got some glazing in with the electric, like the lightning effect. You've got the Deathwing sword here. That's sort of like a non-metallic silver. Obviously got the Custodian blade. Librarian, Alrax. A recent blade guard video, the lightning effect. So it just because there's so much you can do with them, it's just hard to do one video that covers everything. So it's better just to sort of include them in videos where those sort of weapons and look of the weapons sort of match the miniature, give it context, rather than having to watch like 3 different videos on miniature. That's why that's why my videos I try and stick to like one faction or one miniature in the video, so it's all encompassing. They don't have to, I don't want to expect you to have watched or to have to watch tons of different tutorials. I'd rather you be able to watch one video, get a good idea of how to paint that one miniature. Yeah, it's tough to do. It's tough to do like videos like that. Just another point is that I only really do a tutorial every 2 weeks. If I did two tutorials more regularly, like say 1 or 2 videos a week or 1 every week, they have the time and more opportunity to do videos like that. But I just think at the minute, because I do a video every 2 weeks, I want that video to count. That makes sense. Munich, hello, welcome to the stream. I've just jumped ahead. Could you please tell me the best detail brush I can get that is not so expensive? Any brush you can use. I always say it doesn't matter what your brush is. I feel like if you're good enough, you can use any brush. All the miniatures that you see me paint here, I've used sit-down brushes and they've worked just fine. I say just get a brush you can afford and work with that. Because what if you spend... I used to spend like £20 on a brush. It was a waste of money for me. That's why I just came back to just using the sit-down brushes, because they're very sort of middle of the road brushes. But I'm not very good to ask about brushes, believe it or not, because I haven't used that many. I've used the Winsor & Newton Series 7. I do want to try out the Artis Opus brushes, but I'd like them to send me some free ones. So if anyone knows anyone at Artis Opus, they want to send me some free brushes, I'll be happy to do a video showcasing them. And Tipo, I'm using Sapia for golds now, it's amazing. Yeah, and the Seraphim Sapia is really good, it's very subtle. It's really nice mixed with the right kind of flesh shade. Stephen, I should do a recap shorts to show off spin the finished models you've done lately. Make it a monthly thing perhaps. It's always so enticing to see the finished product. Yeah, you've asked this in the past. I have thought about it. The reason I've not done it is it clutters my YouTube behind the scenes. There's no good way of doing it at the minute, but it is something that is going into my planning in the future, because I've got Patreon and memberships and community posts in there to sort of organise and sort out, and turnarounds is one of those things, and I would like to put them up on the channel. I just feel like it's clutter. There maybe there'll be a space on the website for them, because that can be a separate entity then. But that's the only reason I haven't done the turnarounds at the moment. Even for shorts, I already think there's quite a lot of shorts going out. I try and do the minimum amount of shorts that I think I can make them worthwhile. And I have put out turnarounds as shorts as well, and they've not been received very well. No one really watches them. So that's why I also stopped doing them as shorts. But again, there might be space on the website for those. What if I do like a gallery? I suppose there might be space on Instagram for them as well, but again, that's in my future plans to sort of figure out, but it's something I'm going to address. These are great, Michael. I think most custodians turn out looking like gold blobs, but you've really picked the details out nicely. Thank you. Yeah, I think the main trick was I used Canoptech Alloy to pick out some of the details, which really helps to sort of separate out the different sort of designs, because it gives it a different reflection as well in the light, as you can see. Wafers, I'll also be going, there's a Kill Team event at a local game store at my city, so I figured out I'll check that out. How that works, I'll be checking the VOD. Goodbye. Well, if you're watching in the future, I hope you enjoyed the Kill Team event. Kill Team's a great way to start 40k. Safari, I need this for my rogue traders. I'll certainly watch it. Yeah, all my tutorials have got some great information in them. I always try and put something new in there whenever I can. And I don't actually like to completely repeat myself all the time. You could watch all my videos and learn something new every time, I think. And Tippo, I want to do Tyrannid's blood. Can you mix a technical blood with purple? Yeah, everything's mixable in the same range. So all the Citadel paints, contrasts, normal paints, shades, you can mix them all together because they all use the same medium sort of base that all the pigments mixed in. So you won't get any separation, so that's fine. But just do tests first before you apply it to anything you're precious about, just in case it doesn't work out and you don't like it. Yeah, Ryan, you can use, so any wet palette. There's a lot of wet palette brands you can get. I just like the one I use because it's a bog standard cheap wet palette for like £5. Whereas something like Army Painter, you're paying like 20 quid. And they're massive. Whereas the one I've got is quite small and compact. But I've seen some that just like take up the whole table. I think those are wet palettes more for traditional painting on a canvas rather than miniature painting. Francois, hello. It's been a while. It's good to see you back. It's Tucat. You're very welcome. I'm glad to answer any questions. Haggis, I put a layer of copper foil in the bottom of my wet palette. It stops mold and bacteria forming. That's interesting. I wouldn't know where to get copper foil. Probably be something off Amazon, but that's a handy little trick. You can also just put a small amount of washing up liquid in your water. But what I'll tend to do is I'll just run it under a hot tap. Say once a week. When I feel like it needs it, I'll just rinse it out and just run it under a really hot tap. Just to sort of get rid of any smells or bacteria. That's a good tip as well. Can you showcase your Imperial Fist collection at some point? Yes, it's not very big. I'll show you now. I do want a proper Imperial Fist collection. I keep painting an army and then selling it because I'm never happy with it. A couple of years ago, I tried to start, after I did the tutorial on my channel for the heavy metal style one with the Gravis armor. But the problem is it takes so long to paint an army like this. And I think it took like 2 months to get around to painting 10 of these infiltrators. I also painted a lieutenant. So that's all I managed to paint for this army. I mean, I even did the volumetric highlighting. But again, it just takes so long to paint something like this with like 4 different kinds of highlights. I've got my kill team that I painted for the Imperial Fist kill team video, so you can learn how to paint those. These were the contrast paints. I was so happy with how I painted the kill team one. I then started my 4th Imperial Fist army. This is where we do an Imperial Fist army update, everybody. And I've still yet to paint Tor Garridon. I've not finished him yet. I haven't had time. I've started working on my Night Goblins again because I'm playing a lot of Old World at the minute. So at the minute I've got 5 Infernus Marines, all painted with contrast exactly like I did in the video. Get a bit brighter. Where am I? I've got 5 Infernus Marines painted. I've got 5 Terminators painted. If you haven't seen, I've added the chips and scuffs and scratches to these, which really, really glad I did. I have a Terminator chaplain. Again, just contrast paints, really basic, just simple highlights. If you want to know how I do these bases, go watch my Night Goblin video. Terminator's done. This week, I'm going to paint Torgaradon. And then what I did this week, I got 5 intercessors built ready. These 2 are from the thinning your paints video. I didn't want to waste them. Because what I'm going to do, I'm going to get Lysander and the Combat Patrol box when they come in. They get released. Because you get 5 intercessors, 5 of the heavy intercessors, 5 Terminators, and you get the command squad, which I think is a great box. So I've got another 5 intercessors here to sort of bulk that intercessor unit to 10. So that'll be what I'm doing my Imperial Fists next when that box comes out. I also want to do 3 bikes and an AVT, the Imperial Fists. After that, I'm not too sure. Maybe a Land Raider, because I love Land Raiders. So that's my Imperial Fist collection so far. Hopefully this time next year I'll have a nice big Imperial Fist army. Total win. I'm starting to collect Dark Angels and I'm probably going to get the Combat Patrol, but I'm not too sure if it's worth it. What would you say? Yes. The Combat Patrols are always worth getting. I think they're a great place to sort of start your collection. You can even get the starter sets for 40k, the ones that have both the Space Marines and Tyranids in, which are actually a better cost. They're more cost effective. So in the middle starter set you get, that's what I've done with these Imperial Fists. That's the box I bought. I've got 5 intercessors, 5 Terminators. You get and a Space Marine captain. I know they're not Dark Angels, but for 60 quid you get Tyranids and Space Marines, and it gets you started. Or just have a look at one of the Combat Patrols, and over the next couple of months they're going to bring out a lot of different Combat Patrol boxes, and you can use any of them, because any Space Marine can be any chapter, unless specifically, obviously they can't. So like Deathwing, Terminators, something like that. Even though you could use these miniatures for sort of, seeing these miniatures used for other chapters and they look amazing. But yeah, any Space Marine can be any chapter, is what I'm saying, because I've just proven myself wrong there by saying people have used those for Ultramarine. I think we saw that in a subscriber showcase that someone had done that. Thought that was inspired. Just choose the Combat Patrol box that you like the most of, or you can just do it unit by unit. It's up to you. There's no right or wrong way. You've already got a Gladiator, Redemptor, Interceptors. So you've got a couple of tanks and some interceptors. Yeah, so a Combat Patrol box would be good, to be honest, because they're mainly infantry heavy. So just have a look at those. Stephen, the Necrosphinx has that great marbling effect. Yeah, that's why I want to do a tutorial on it. I think it'll be fun to tackle that. But again, that won't be a main video. It'll be a video for Patreon and channel members. I'm just gonna have a breather for 5 minutes. It's been good tonight. It's been like last stream was really quiet. But I guess it was just because it was a Saturday night. And I did it a bit earlier than I normally would. I started at 6 o'clock. But it just seems that 7 o'clock on a Sunday evening is probably the gold sort of time for everybody. So this would be sort of the general time that I do it. I like my Artisopus brushes, but their sizing is confusing, and one is very small. Yeah, generally a 1 in any sort of brush universe is a medium. A 0 is a small. 00 is a very small. Keep the recap shorts for TikTok. Yeah, again, it's just tough because I don't want to spend a lot of time making loads of different shorts dedicated for each platform. So I just sort of recycle the shorts that I make for YouTube and put them up on Instagram because they do reach a different audience. And what I find, a lot more people come off Instagram to the channel, but people on TikTok stay on TikTok. So I need to find a way how to monetize that. So that's one of the big things that I've got to do. There's a lot of nuance to how things work that I need to figure out. Peter, hi from Holland. I'm new to this. Hello. I don't know how to say hello in Dutch. Hello. Welcome to the stream. I hope you're enjoying yourself. I sit here and I do a lot of talking, answering a lot of questions. I'm not even sure I've said everything I wanted to say yet, so we'll have a think about that. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. There's no silly questions, only silly answers. Untippo, what about investing some money and hire someone, do all the shorts, TikTok, help with the main video, etc.? I can't afford to hire someone, and I'm more than capable of doing it all myself anyway. It's just I want to make sure what I'm doing is making an impact, and I'm not just sort of shouting into the wind. Yeah, but it's not a case of if we can do things or not. It's just I want to make sure that it's the right thing. I want to min-max basically. I want to put in the minimum amount of effort and get the maximum amount of impact. That makes sense. Alzy, gotta go. We'll catch you next stream. Thank you very much if you're still here. Enjoy yourself. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. It's really appreciated. Gamer85 Retro Evening. Hello, Ryan. Welcome back. Safari or Safari. Yeah, Old World is great. Yeah, I love Old World. I've been playing a few games with my Night Goblins. I've changed up the list. They've changed a few of the rules recently. One of the rules was to do with poison. So if a model had poison, when you rolled to wound it, when you rolled a 6 to hit, it automatically wounded. But now it's just a +2. It's a -2 to the toughness modifier, I think. But it's not changed too much. It's kind of made it more fair. But my archer, because I bought 40 Night Goblin archers, these guys, which are actually really great because they can move like 4 inches and still fire at maximum range with no penalty. But if you put a wizard in with that unit, you can get reroll 1s if they roll 1s to hit, and they can get like a -1 to their armor penetration. So it means you're forcing them to make, so if they've got say like a 5+ save for their armor, it then becomes a 6+ save. So that's a spell. Another spell would be like making them less toughness. So if they're like toughness 3, you can make like toughness 1, for example. Or you can make them reroll 6s. So with a combination of all those things, you can do a lot of damage. And in one game, I was killing Chaos Knights. Not Chaos Knights, but Chaos Warriors. With like full plate armor and shield. With these Night Goblin archers. Which was fun. Thank you. Yeah, the bases. If you want to know how I do these bases are from the Night Goblin video. Francois, I'm still working on the base of my Phantom. It's taken me all summer. Never stress how long it takes to paint. It's about relaxation. Yeah. It's a hobby. People always treat it like a job or a chore. I know some people prefer the gaming side and they just want to get miniatures painted for the tabletop. But I feel like you're missing you're missing a big chunk of the hobby. But I love painting. It's just nice to relax for a couple of hours, bit of music. Sorry, my chat froze for a second. Ryan, painting is great relaxation. Listen to music. Yeah, exactly what I just said. If you were to get a combat patrol, it would be an Ultramarines one. Yeah, the Ultramarines ones are good. I'd say like literally any combat patrol, no matter how it's painted on the box, you can paint it any chapter you want. So Ryan, you're doing Ultramarines. You could buy any of the combat patrol boxes and paint them Ultramarines. If you prefer sort of a mix of miniatures in one combat patrol to another, as a thought. Oh, hello is the same in Holland. Hello. I've been painting some decorative items from my FDM printer. I like it, so I have been watching your videos to learn and maybe step up to minis. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter what you're painting. What I'm showing you in the videos, what I'm painting, you can apply to anything. It doesn't just have to be Warhammer miniatures. Right, what? Let's show off another miniature that I really love. It's my Necron Doomstalker. I do want to do a Necron army, and I love this. I think it's Canoptech. Oh no, it's not. I can't remember the name of this dynasty. It's begins with S. If anyone knows, but I love this color scheme for Necrons. It's so higgledy-piggledy, so eclectic, and it's got so much character, and it's really fun to paint as well. I really enjoyed painting this Doomstalker, and I still look back at this one and I fondly think back to it and how much I enjoyed painting this guy. And it's such an unusual miniature as well to paint. It looks quite difficult to paint, but not too tough. And everything I've shown in this video as well, you can use to paint all your Necron miniatures. Hopefully next year I'll be painting the Silent King, just because it's such a nice miniature. And I know they've just recently shown off the Catan, the new Catan miniature, or Catan. And I like this colour scheme as well, because you can use pretty much all the techniques. So you work on metallics, you've got glazing for the orbs, some highlighting, and again it's just all really quick to do. think the thing that really takes the most time is the glazing of the orbs. See that really. See it better on the face. Yeah, I love the new Necron range is amazing. I'm glad they're getting a bit more love. So that's just another miniature that I'm very fond of. It's the Doomstalker. Again, tutorial is currently available. Definitely worth a watch. Even if you don't do Necrons, I think there's a lot to get out of it. And I've already shown this tonight as well as the Deathwing Terminator. This one Terminator took some time to paint. It's a task. There's a lot of glazing going on, but with some patience, it's achievable, and the results are amazing. Can you imagine an army of these? It'll take about 2 years to paint them though. So those are some of my favourite miniatures that I've sort of wrestled out of storage. Francois, glazing on orcs. Have I done any glazing on orcs? I mean, glazing is the same on anything really. You can apply glazing to orcs. I mean, they've got a lot of armor on their vehicles, even on characters as well. The technique's still the same, it's just how you use it. I will definitely have at least 2 more orc tutorials this year for orcs, I promise. It's been a long time since I've done an orc video. I think it was the Death Copters, and that was like 2 years ago. I want to do the shock attack gun, which will have some glazing in most likely. I also want to do an updated vehicle tutorial, but they're coming this year. You'll find that I'll do Gazgul for my character series as well. Charles Hodgson, hello. Hi Michael, interesting to hear about your Imperial Fist plans. I'm currently painting the ATV for mine. Glad you're thinking of doing one, as they're not so popular in the community. I think I love them. I know they're a weird sort of... They do have a weird look to them, but I think they fit the aesthetic of the Primaris. Because they are basically the new attack bike. But I really like them. I'm probably going to have one for my Ultramarines and Imperial Fists. Excuse me. It's been a lot. I've done a lot of chores today. What's the best for glazing, do you think? Water lamy medium or a different glazing medium? You can use saliva. I just use water. You don't really need to get fancy. If you really want to go ham with glazing, and you find that water isn't enough anymore, you can sort of graduate to a glazing medium. But when you're first starting out with the technique, water's absolutely fine. I mean, Darren Latham uses water to glaze. That's why I decided that I'm going to use water to glaze. Parker Plays, hello. Francois. But I didn't mean to say it like that. My mind's going now, I'm getting tired. Ace024, greetings, hello, welcome to the stream. Hello everyone who's new to watching. Currently doing an Orc and Goblin army, currently got Squig Hogs, 20 Orc Boys, Goblin on Wolves and Troggoths. Oh, okay. When you said the squig hogs, I thought you were talking about 40k. Are you doing both? Are you doing both old world and 40k? And Tippo, you got to go for dinner. You're absolutely welcome. I really do appreciate you always being in the streams and commenting on the videos. It is appreciated. I do notice. Yeah, we're probably going to wrap up now. It's 9 o'clock. I've been on live for a couple of hours, and I'm starting to go stir crazy. I'm losing my voice. So we'll wrap up. I think it's been a great stream tonight. A lot of people joining in. Parker Plays, you're doing Spearhead and 40k. I don't know what Old World is. Oh, okay. So you're doing Age of Sigmar and you're doing 40k. That makes sense. Sorry, because I do Old World. I just jump to that straight away because I do night goblins. To be fair, an orc is an orc and a goblin's a goblin. I love them all. Still, like, my favourite, like Destruction, orcs are probably. I love them. I've just taken a break from doing orcs this year because I've got a huge 40k orc army already, and I just wanted to do something different. Yeah, so I've painted these guys for my old world army. So these the stone troggoths, the stone trolls. That's why I got a bit confused. But yeah, I love destruction. I love the new like the Wolf Rider miniatures as well, and the chariots and the Doom Diver. Yeah, so last week's tutorial was Custodian. Sorry, I'll get my drink out of the way. Make sure, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. Even if it's just to learn how to paint energy effects on weapons and nice looking cloaks. My next tutorial is going to be Bloodraven's chapter in celebration for the announcement of Dawn of War. I did get asked the question, or was told it might be a good idea to wait till the actual game comes out. That would be a good idea, and I have thought about that, but everybody's going to be releasing Bloodraven content close to those releases anyway. And it's already in a really established chapter, and there's already content on YouTube for them. So I think there's already hype currently for them. So I'm just sort of trying to get ahead. By the time the game comes out, hopefully the tutorial that I've made will be established with plenty of views to entice more people to watch it by that time. People are excited again for that chapter. Safari, yeah, thank you very much. Make sure to like the stream, everybody. Like and comment on all my videos. It really does help. Thank you for saying that. I do forget to say that sometimes. Join my Patreon membership. Gives you access to the Discord. There's a lot of stuff happening in the next couple of months. If you want to keep on top of what I'm doing, there's big things happening, including overhauled website, which will become the main hub for everything Tabletop Ready outside of YouTube. Obviously YouTube's still going to be the main focus, but if you want more tabletop other than YouTube, there'll be the website eventually with articles, extra content, lots of stuff. What else? You can check out all my descriptions if you want links to all the hobby equipment I use. They're all links to like Amazon. Yeah. So The next stream's going to be in 2 weeks' time, exactly the same time, same place, 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time on Sunday evening. I'll let everybody know beforehand. Next stream, I'll be announcing that we'll be doing a subscriber submission the following stream after. So if you want to show off miniatures, start sending them in to my email, contactors@tabletopready.co.uk, ready for that. So that'll be in 4 weeks' time, everybody. At the end of September, we'll be doing a subscriber showcase, which I haven't done one in about 6 months, just because there's been a lot of change happening. But I love doing them. So even if you haven't got anything now, you can sort of plan a project ready to show off. I don't critique or give feedback on the actual miniatures on stream. I'll point out the positives, and I'll sort of like showcase them and tell you what I think is great about them. But I don't give critique or criticism unless you ask for it in the email with the picture, because it's not fair. Because everybody's at different stages of painting, and different skill levels, and there's always positives to take away no matter what. If you want to see what a showcase is like, there is previous live streams under the live stream tab on YouTube, where you can look at the others, how they work basically. But yeah, thank you very much, everybody. The next tutorial next week on Sunday, 7 o'clock, it'll probably be released, will be the Blood Ravens tutorial. I will cover what I would do for transfers in that, if you want to figure it out. It might be a good idea, it might be a bad idea, who knows, but look forward to it. But again, thank you very much. I've really enjoyed this stream, but I've lost my voice now. So look after yourselves, practice, and be patient when painting. And I will see you in a couple of weeks. See you later.